the brand new Are We Nearly There Yet podcast. I'm Sonia, wife to James, mum to Hudson, Tilly, Elwood and Kit, who range in age from 12 down to 7. And I'm also the families lead at Kerith Community Church. In each episode, I'm going to have a conversation with someone relating to this journey we are on in parenting and family life. If you're looking for expert parenting advice, well, you've come to the wrong place. I do hope, though, that this will be a place to share, to find affirmation, a place that may challenge our thinking, open our eyes to other people's situations, and ultimately help us realise we are not alone in this journey of parenting. Perhaps you're just starting out, or perhaps your children are nearly adults. Whatever your situation, you are all welcome to join us in the conversation. A few weeks ago, I caught up with my friend Heather before she went on her maternity leave, and we talked about her experience of being pregnant in a pandemic. Since then, she has given birth to a beautiful baby girl, Juniper. Listen in and come join us in the conversation. Welcome, Heather, to the Are We Nearly There Yet podcast.
Hello, Sonia. How you doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. It's really good to have you with us. How are you feeling? You doing good? Enjoying the sun?
Well, yeah, it's a lovely sunny day. I am happy. Good to be here.
Good. Well, Heather, I'm aware that many people will know who you are, but there'll be some people listening or watching this that won't know anything about you. So tell us about your family, Heather.
So my name's Heather, and I lead the church community in Blackwater Valley at Kerith Community Church, and I'm married to Ben, who also works at the church, and we have been together for 14 years and married for 9 years. We have one little boy who is 3 called Jasper, and in about 2 weeks' time, we're expecting our second child. Don't know if it's a boy or a girl. And yeah, we've got a big fluffy dog as well. And we've got a lovely lodger called Natalie who lives with us, who's part of the extended family also. I grew up in a big family, so I'm the third of 4 children. I really like a noisy, lively kind of house full of people and fun and life. So yeah, I'd love a big family myself one day. And so yeah, excited about the new arrival coming, the chaos that will bring. And yeah, I always remember my mum saying when I was younger, she, people would say to her when she took all us 4 kids out, like, oh, you've got your hands full. And I just remember her saying, yeah, my hands full of good things. And I just thoroughly believe that children are a blessing and they bring so much kind of life and joy to the family. And yeah, I remember when some people were like, oh, 4 kids. Yeah, her response was always like, my arms are full of wonderful things. So that's kind of my experience.
I remember having twins, and especially twin babies. Any newborn baby, people, you'll remember this in the next few weeks if we're allowed out for walks and things. Gather around a newborn baby around a pram, although obviously at the moment from a very safe distance. Don't they? They like to look in and see the new baby. And we discovered that literally was something that was doubled with having twins. And the amount of people we would get coming to us saying, oh, you've got your hands full. And for some reason as well, when they'd find out that they were both boys, they'd say, oh yeah. I would be like your mum, and people would say double trouble. And I'd say, actually, double the joy and double the... and double the love and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to see, as you say, like children are a blessing. You mentioned, Heather, that you work outside of the home as well as Blackwater Valley. So I'd have to say, tell us a little bit, if anyone's listening who doesn't know what that entails, what does that entail for you?
So we, Kerith is a church where there's multiple communities. So we've got one in Bracknell, one in Farnborough, one in the Isle of Wight, and one in Windsor. And my job is to lead the congregation in Farnborough. So every Sunday I'm there to lead the church service and look after all the teams there. And then midweek I'm in the office with the kind of other church sites. So I work full time. Today's actually my last day before maternity leave. So I won't be working full time for next year, but at present, for the next 3 hours, I am working full time. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic because I take my child to work one day a week. So Jasper comes along to church once every Sunday, and yeah, that brings a whole load of challenges. I mean, you bring your 4 kids along as well to work with you once once a week. I think, yeah, you just have to remember that they're a regular child being raised by regular parents, and just because you work for a church, that doesn't mean that they're going to be little angels. And sometimes
sorry, Karen.
That's okay. Sometimes I think, I wonder if like the spotlight is on them a bit, or I fear for him that the spotlight's on him. But yeah, just remembering he's a normal child. He's a normal 2-year-old who will have tantrums and say, no, I don't want to pray and talk to that person, or, you know, do nice, normal things.
Yeah. I remember at our old church, I was in I was involved in children's ministry long before I became a parent, and I was so much that person that would advocate for children. You know, they're babbling, that's a joyous sound to the Lord. Like, don't worry, don't feel like you have to, you know, children have to be seen and not heard, quite the opposite. And then I had my own children, and I felt some of those pressures all of it, and telling people not to worry about. So yeah, I could understand that.
Usually it's my child kind of running around up and down the front, or we've got these LED lights that he likes to flip the covers off, and you can see the whole kind of church in the middle of the church service, kind of everyone looking to see the child that's about to electrocute themselves. I'm like,
oh, we're just glad he's there. We're glad he's there and part of it. So don't worry about what we all think. Yeah. So as a leader then, Heather, parent, I wonder if there's been any kind of overlap, how those two worlds collided for you. Obviously, you've talked about they literally collide because you bring your child to work one day a week, but are there any challenges, and what have you learned, or what have you maybe learned from being a parent that you've been able to apply to your leadership skills, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think so in terms of challenges, because when you're a leader, you have quite significant responsibility, and sometimes responsibilities at home and at work, just like in any job, to be honest, they collide. And they can kind of counter each other. So I like, it's really important to me that Jasper and this new baby know that they are my priority. My relationship with God comes first, and then my family, and then any kind of work or leadership responsibilities. And so working that out practically is sometimes a challenge in terms of like how much I'm out in the evenings. Even on a Sunday, if I'm talking to people and Jasper needs me or wants my attention, we've had to work through coming up with strategies and systems that make that possible. So, I mean, it takes a village to raise a child, and on Sundays, quite often I'm roping in friends to help and family to go pick up Jasper if I'm needed in the auditorium. I think I read a while ago a book that was talking about being thermostats and not thermometers. And that was a phrase that stuck with me, and actually it's become part of our office team values since then at church. But as a leader and as a mum, I have the choice and the opportunity to either, if there's chaos going on, if he's in a grump, if like the dog's fed up of, I don't know, treading on Duplo or whatever, if generally in the household everyone's just a bit like and stressed out, I have as a leader and as a mother, I can change the temperature, and I have the power to do that. Or am I just going to be, so I could be a thermostat and change the temperature, or am I going to be a thermometer and just match it and just be like, ugh, life's so annoying, the children are angry, like everyone's in a grump. And so I think being proactive in setting the temperature of our household and setting the culture of our household, I'm not just going to respond to everyone else. I can actually set that. And I think that was something that I learned originally in our house. They often say that kind of mums said happy mum, or is it happy wife, happy life? And I think often mums, we have we just kind of have that kind of gift of setting the temperature, and we can be proactive in choosing that. And that's overflowed into my leadership in terms of, now it's one of the office team values. And I think, there are some times at church in my job where everyone's just a bit tired. It's really early in the morning, or people are a bit like low in kind of mood and spirit. And so I have the power as a leader to change that.
It's an active choice, isn't it? And how do you do that? Like, how does that work itself on a day when it's just the last thing you feel like doing? So you had you're 38 weeks pregnant, is that right? And I'm sure
yeah.
Not much sleep at times. That's kind of par for the course for this point.
Yeah.
Like, how do you? So I'm sure, like, you don't always want to turn up in that way. So, like, how do you kind of turn yourself around to making that active choice to?
I think so often we cannot change our circumstances, but you can change your attitude to them. So working out what things you can change in terms of your circumstances and doing them. So actually, if the TV's on really loud at home, if I don't know, something's making someone particularly annoying, you can remove those. But then often it's your attitude in terms of, okay, how am I going to respond? I can control my response. I don't have to lay into this person or that person, or go off in a drop or do silent angry treatment to the household, that kind of thing. I can proactively, choose to respond positively instead of grumpily.
And it's asking, when we're feeling we're lacking in that self-control, like asking God for more of it. Like just continue daily, maybe sometimes even hourly, asking God for that. I found that
sometimes minutely with toddlers around.
Toddlers, or like kids at home during a pandemic. All that kind of thing. Leading on to another thing I really wanted to talk to you about. Most of these podcast conversations will hone in on just like one area, but I really wanted to. Obviously, we're living in different times at the moment, and I really wanted to chat to you specifically about being pregnant in a pandemic. How have you found it? Like, what has been easy? What's not been easy? Because I want people to start listening to this. Maybe they're pregnant for the first time or second, third.
So, as a pregnant person, Sonia, I am classed as a vulnerable person, very vulnerable. There have been, so I basically leave the house to go for a walk, and that's about it. But I mean, on top of all the regular kind of pregnancy kind of worries, concerns, anxiety, there's a whole nother layer with COVID. So I've bought some face masks for when I go into the hospital to have the baby. They're doing lots of a lot less midwife appointments and consultant appointments. So in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, what if something gets missed? There's restrictions around birth partners, so that I think they can only come at the very, very, very end of labour into hospital. So mothers are, for the main part, going to be on their own in labour. And there's like less birthing options available at the moment. So you've got kind of normal pregnancy kind of anxieties or whatever. But then on top of all of that, there's this whole bunch of new restrictions with COVID. But I think what's really helpful for me in all of that is remembering that actually God loves this child way more than I do, and they are God's child, and so he is looking after them, and he is protecting them throughout all of this. And I think so obviously I'm talking from someone who's pregnant and experiencing the COVID situation, but then there's going to be mums who have teenagers that are going to university. There's mums who are deciding whether or not their child should go back to school or not. At the moment, there's mums who have children and are worried about their socialization or additional needs children, and there's all of these extra concerns around parenting at the moment, and kind of decisions that need to be made, and anxieties because no one really knows the right answer. We just need to make a kind of wise choice in certain areas. But it's just so important. I found it really helpful remembering that actually this child, our children, God cares about them way more than we care about them. We are obsessed and passionate about our children. We can't imagine loving them anymore, but God cares way more for them than we do. And so asking for his help, trusting him with our children, and just making the kind of best decisions that we can in this situation. I think as well, so for me, I'm not someone I struggle with many things in life, but actually anxiety and worry isn't a huge battle for me. I have a long list of other things that I battle with, but I've been told by the lady that I'm handing over Blackwater Valley to my maternity cover that I'm very relaxed, and I've realised, actually I am quite relaxed. I don't think I've ever named that, labelled myself with that before. But one thing I have struggled with is sadness during this season, and it's sadness over really silly things. So like actually today I probably would have gone out with some of the office girls for a coffee, or just to kind of mark, okay, this is now my maternity leave, and I haven't got to kind of see all my office friends today because we're in COVID. Sadness for what Ben's gonna miss, my husband, at the birth, and thinking like, is that going to affect their kind of, I don't know, relationship and make it less special, and all those things. Sadness for grandparents as well, that are going to miss out on those very kind of early days. So I think, for me, it hasn't been anxiety so much, but just kind of, like just processing the grief and the sort of, there are some sad things around COVID.
How are you dealing with that sadness?
I mean, I mainly through kind of, I'm a journaler. I think I tend to kind of just process through writing. So, but then as well as sad things, there's also some really lovely things about this season as well. So I have been able to potty training, don't want to speak too soon, my 2-year-old, because I've been at home all the time and I haven't had to ask kind of my mum and my sister, who Jasper goes to a couple of days a week, to step in there. We've had lovely family times, and actually it's probably going to be a lot easier for Jasper adjusting to having a baby brother or sister, because there'll be less visitors coming around, and mummy and daddy will be here for a while. So just that consistency. So yes, there's sad things, but there are also some blessings as well in the season. And so recognising both.
So do you think recognising both helps you actually deal with the sadness?
I think so. Again, it's attitude. So saying, yes, these things are sad. And yes, these are, like, there'll be children that have missed proms, and children that have like missed their year 6, going from year 6 to year 7, and all those things. But then also weighing up, keeping in mind, it's about your perspective and your mindset. And I think we have responsibility for that.
So. It goes back to what you were saying earlier about setting the temperature in your home and in your work, actually in your own heart and in your own mind. You're choosing to set that by not ignoring the sadness. You're dealing with it, you're journaling, you're giving it to God, maybe chatting with friends, but you're also dealing with it by like calling out all the goodness in your life at the same time, which I think in any situation at any time is a really valuable thing for us to do, isn't it? Look at what we have got rather than what we haven't got.
We have a gratitude board in the kitchen, which is
cool.
just like filled up. It was originally supposed to be like the meal planning board, but I think it's just turned into stuff that has been really good over lockdown. So that's helped us keep cheering.
So Heather, we're coming to the end of our time together, but I'm going to ask everybody the same question when they come and join me in this conversation. Thinking about this theme of, are we nearly there yet? Obviously that I don't know if Jasper's got to the age yet where he asks that every 2 minutes in the car. This podcast isn't just for parents of young children. We'll be talking to all people of all different kind of stages on that journey of parenting. But thinking about when you set out on this journey as a parent, and when you're going on any kind of journey, we all take with us a bag, don't we, or a suitcase, or we put things in our glove compartment, depending on where we're going, who we're going with. What like essential items, metaphorically speaking, would you not want to be without in this journey of parenting, and in turn give advice to other people as to what essential items you would want? So it can be,
what a great question.
It can be like like conceptual things. What do you think? What are your take on carry-on items, if you like?
So I think I have a parenting principle that I think helps me in all sorts of different situations, and it's about whether am I being an owner parent or an ambassador parent? So an owner parent, they're people that they think they own their children and they are completely responsible for them, and it's all down to them. Whereas an ambassador parent sees themselves as someone who has been given responsibility to steward a life for God. And so I think owner parents, they get their identity and their meaning and their purpose from children. And these are the people that if they just kind of if their whole meaning of being alive is their children, then when their kids leave home, they kind of lose some of that identity and their meaning and purpose. Whereas an ambassador parent, they get their identity from Jesus. And like, I get my identity from Jesus. That's really helpful. I think owner parents, they think it's their job to turn their child into something. And so you sometimes, like, I don't want to be the parent that gets really, really stressed when their child isn't behaving exactly as they want them to, and this, that, and the other. But my job is to be a representative and an instrument of God in Jasper's life, and to steward him and to reflect God to him. But ultimately, he is God's child. He is a life that I've been given and a soul that I've been given to kind of disciple and care for a season. And then one day I'm not going to be around anymore. And it's God and Jasper. I think as well, it kind of influences how we see success. And so some parents, they're like, oh, my child, they do this football stuff, they are amazing at athletics, they're amazing academically, like socially and with music, and and they almost kind of, if their child is doing well in those areas, then they think, oh, I'm a successful parent, and that's what owner parents would feel. But actually, success for me is whether I am being a good representative of God to Jasper, and he may copy that, or he may be like, I don't know, he may get cross and do all those other things. But again, I can't control how Jasper's going to react. I can just model. I can be a good tool used by God to model things to him, to encourage him, and to speak life into him. I think owner parents, they turn their children into trophies. They're thinking about what the behavior of their children says about them, or what they kind of herald children as like, oh, wasn't I a great parent? Look at how my child's turned out. But actually, ambassador parents, they recognize that we are all sinners. We all get stuff wrong. We are all broken. We are all weak, and that parenting is going to be messy because of that. As much as I would like Jasper to just have a really smooth, easy upward journey, it's not life, is it? You've got to accept the messiness of the job. Like, parenting is messy, and children are broken. So very much around, am I an ambassador parent, being a good ambassador for God, stewarding this soul well, or am I trying to own this child and control him? And so kind of packing that into that's my philosophy. I don't know what that it's good. Like. Owner or ambassador parents. Through the different stages, it will look different at different times, I'm sure. But I love that. I read it the way I've kind of heard and understood the concept, but I've never thought of it or heard of it as owner or ambassador. So I've written that down. It's from a book. I can't remember what it's by. I can send it to you. That'd be great. We can recommend it to people. That's cool. And as you said earlier, with this baby, with Jasper, and with us as well, like, God loves your children, God loves my children, God loves me more than my parents love me, more than we love our children, which is a massive thing to get our heads around sometimes, how much we love our children. But we can do what we can do, and the rest is down to God, because
he's in charge and he's got their backs, and we're just gotta put our trust in him.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Stuff. Thank you so much, Heather, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
To hear your news, if we have a little girl pocock or a little pocock.
Yeah.
Thing, as long as it's not an extra pocock hiding in there that you don't know about.
Secret one, yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Heather. Bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening in on that conversation between Heather and I. I love what she was saying about us as parents setting the temperature in our home. And she referenced a book later on in the conversation, and that book is by Paul David Tripp, and it's called Parenting: 14 Gospel Principles That Can Radically Change Your Family. I know I'm going to go and buy that book for myself. I'm sure many of you will want to as well. Thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next time.